Hare Srinivasa. Now we continue the Narayana Panjara and we have completed up to the 23rd verse, 22nd verse. So we continue from there. Shri Prasanna Venkatadasa Gurupyo Namaha. Shri Bhananji Govindacharya Gurupyo Namaha. Narayanaya Namo Narayanaya Namo Narayanaya Namo Narayana. Naradhara Mukadinda Narakastara Ebbisida Narayanaya Namo Narayana. By the chanting of the Narayana Nama, one can be saved even from the clutches of Naraka. The pangs of misery that one might experience in this world are also similar to the pain that we experience in that we are supposed, like people may not remember, but the Puranas talk about the Narakas and how the souls that go to Naraka are in great misery. But chanting Narayana's Nama, the Narada chanted it, and by the mere hearing to it, enabled those souls who were suffering to be free from it. So we keep reiterating this because why is it that that was happening to them? That by hearing to Narayana Nama, how come anyone can be uplifted? The Narayana Nama itself is like that because Narayana is not different from his Nama, and Narayana was chanted by Narada who knew this. So knowing makes all the difference. Narada called out to Narayana and he said, "You are the Ashraya, you are the support of all those who are here, seeking good souls who are all here. I pray on behalf of them. Please uplift them." So, based on that prayer of Narada, Paramatma uplifted those souls and made them free from pain. That Narayana itself came to the earth in many forms. The Dashavataras are there. Other than that, also, there are many forms of avataaras which Narayana took. Here, the famous Dashavataras are recounted by Prasanna Venkatadasaru, and then he moves on to his favorite deity, the Venkateshwara Devru, where he talks about the presence of the Tirthas, the Varaha temple there, and also the Venkateshwara temple, and tells that these all forms of Paramatma are Narayana, means are all completely full of auspicious attributes and devoid of any kind of negative influences or negative aspects. Meena Kachapa, Potri Narahari Vamana Bhargava, Narayanaya Namo Narayana, Manavapa Krishna Buddha Kalki Kapila Atreya Narayanaya Namo Narayana. So he's saying that Meena Kachapa, Meena Avatara, Matsya Avatara. Paramatma said that Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Every time when there is a huge calamity in the form of the adharma growing up so high that no one can stay in dharma, all the souls have to bend down. So in that type of environment, if it is existing on earth, at that time, I come and redistribute the soul so that, I mean, he sees to it that all the wicked souls are annihilated and the good souls are getting a chance to perform their dharma, their karma, and get uplifted. In that, one of the avataaras, the first one is Meena. In the Matsya Avatara, what did he do? The Hayagriva Asura took away the Vedas, it is said. I mean, and hid them under the sea. So here the Vedas means the Vedabhimani Devatas, who are the ones who can disclose knowledge to the person who is seeking it. So Paramatma took the form of Matsya and he went and he annihilated the Rakshasa named Hayagriva and brought them back so that people could obtain knowledge. So here we see the main impact of this is with that. Adharma is when there is no chance of getting knowledge. So that knowledge, which is the zakar, which is the main grace for everyone to get uplifted while in samsara and when they leave it also. This jnana is the only thing that can keep them in their positive state and keep them free from suffering too much. So this jnana was given back to Brahmaji by Paramatma in that form of Matsya. And then at the same time, there is one more incident related to Matsya, wherein during the time of one Manvantara Pralaya, there are four Manvantaras, 14 Manvantaras in one cycle, no? In that 14 Manvantaras, one Manvantara to another Manvantara, they have a Pralaya. So during that Pralaya, Paramatma took the Matsya form and he asked Shraddha Deva, who was going to become this Vaivasvata Manu, who is the Manu of this Manvantara, to sit inside, to sit on his back and collect every species that are there. And then during the Pralaya time, he safeguarded that Manu, the Shraddha Deva, and he gave him the Upadesha of knowledge, the Vedas. So Matsya stands for knowledge, and the form of that Matsya also, it tells that he always keeps his eyes open. That Matsya is like that, it keeps its eyes open. So he says that those who want to seek knowledge have to keep their eyes open. Means eyes open means they have to be aware at all times. They have to be aware that knowledge is something which you need to keep your constant outlook for it. You have to keep your eyes trained on that. In your life, the things keep on happening, changes happen, but every time the knowledge should be given the most highest place in your quest. That is what he indicates by the Matsya Rupa. And also, swimming in the ocean is also, so the knowledge is also like that, no? So swimming in the ocean, there's so much of things. Where I have to focus, what I have to focus, we don't know. But when we pray to Matsya, he removes all the negative effects and allows us to negative effects of getting, when we make a prayatna to obtain certain knowledge, we get lot of obstacles. But when we pray to Matsya Rupi Paramatma, that time the obstacles are removed by focusing on what we want. That is done by Matsya. Then we have Kachapa. Kachapa is Kurma Avatara. When the Devatas and the Daityas wanted, actually the Devatas wanted more power to sustain the war against the Daityas. They had they were getting quite tired of this long drawn out war. So as per the advice of the rishis, they and Paramatma, they decided to engage in the churning of the Milky Ocean, wherein they said they would be getting nectar, which when they drink, they will be having more power to fight against the Daityas. So this kind of required a churning of the Milky Ocean. They needed the Mandara mountain, which was very, very tall. So they brought the Mandara mountain with great difficulty with Garuda's help. And finally, when they wanted to churn it, they could not churn it because it was falling and toppling down. Then the Vasuki was brought and he was made to be the churning rope. Then when even they tried, they could not do it. That time they prayed to Paramatma and he took the form of Kurma. And then he asked them to place the Mandara on his back. And they continued to churn, by which they obtained the lot of things, and finally they obtained the nectar also. So it is symbolic that Kurma Avatara is who can be in water and who can be outside. Means he is there everywhere. He is inside and outside. Such is the greatness of Paramatma. Antar Bahishcha Tatsarvam Vyapya Narayana Stitaha. And then by his grace, one can have that steadiness by which you can churn the Shastras to obtain knowledge. So the Shastras are requiring a churning. What does that mean? That when we read things, we need to have the direction by which we have to go through the text. When we move through the text, there are many ways that they can be interpreted, but our direction of interpretation should be towards the truth through the grace of the Guru. And for that we need a steady mind. This steady mind is what is the best. We get such a nice and stable mind by praying to Kurma, because he did that. When you contemplate of the Mandara Parvata being churned right on top of the back of Kurma, we can understand how our mind is moving turbulently everywhere. But when Kurma comes and his grace falls upon us, then we focus directly into the subject. Then they are saying about Varaha Rupi Paramatma, who came And when the Hiranyaksha Daitya removed the earth from its orbit and he wanted to destroy the chance for all the souls to do any sadhana, he did not want the earth to exist. But Paramatma came and he placed the earth back into its orbit, and he made available the opportunity for the souls to continue their sadhana. Varaha Rupi Paramatma also, in the same way, what does he do to the souls who are stuck in this samsara and they don't know how to actually go in their path? They are, at first they go to a guru, they find out, okay, God is like this, God is like that. They learn the truth, a little bit about it. Then they wanted to continue in that path, but due to the attractions of the world, there are so many things that can move us from the path of sadhana. So those paths are more attractive because they give you immediate pleasure, immediate gratification. So moving towards those, they were coming out of the orbit. But Paramatma put them back into the orbit when he is being prayed to. Varaha Shrestha. Shrestha is for a person. What is Shrestha for a person? A person who is born with a human form, for him, the most Shrestha or the most beneficial thing that he could do is to walk towards God, is to make every step of his directed towards God. And that happens by the grace of Varaha. Narahari. Narahari is the symbol for all the destruction of all evils, all fears. So what does he do? He causes the fear in the hearts of all the evil people and he gives solace to all the bhaktas. Bhaktanam abhayaprada. Abhakta jana hari. So he annihilates all the abhaktas and he is the standing for the true knowledge also. Ignorance was the symbolification for Hiranyakashipu and Paramatma in that Narahari Rupa, he annihilated that ignorance. So ignorance has to be removed and jnana has to be given to the deserving souls. And Narahari Upasane brings you that fearlessness that is required to study the Shastra, the fearlessness that is required to live in peace in the world. Vamana is the form of beauty. Vamana is the form that showed us that anyone can has to be respected for whatever you don't know about them, right? Anyone, they might appear like small children, but they are of a soul which is of what stature we have no idea. So he was going towards Bali's house and he looked like a beautiful Vatu only, handsome Vatu, very young boy, which who was full of stalwart radiance. But Bali thought that he was just a small boy and he can give him anything that he needs and he does not ever need to ask of anyone else alms. Such was the thought of that egoistic feeling that he had that I have so much wealth. But Paramatma as Vamana showed that he can take any form that he wants instantaneously. So when the grant was given for the 3 steps, Paramatma became as tall as the entire Brahmanda or more than that. And he started moving his foot to cover the entire space with one footstep itself. So what is seen in this avatara? That Paramatma's vyapti is so much that one cannot think about it. Bali thought that 3 steps is too little. He even told Vamana, why are you asking me only 3 steps? You should ask me so much that you don't need to beg again in your life. So his concept of the 3 steps and what is the concept of Paramatma's 3 steps? They have no kind of even interaction. That is the kind of will and thought of Paramatma. We don't even think about it, that it can happen. And that happens. So he shows that. And Vamana means very beautiful form. So thinking about Vamana, we get a beautiful form in our mind also. The mind also needs to be beautiful. When will the mind be beautiful? When it is humble, when it is devoted. So Vamana brings thoughts of that Bali who was pressed down into the Patala Loka by Hari because of his ego. So what we understand is that we have to be free from that ego. Whatever we have has been bestowed on us upon by the grace of Sri Hari. And then Bhargava. Bhargava is a form of Narayana who took in the Jamadagni Vamsha, means he was the son of Jamadagni and Renuka Devi as a rishi. And then he had to annihilate so many Kshatriyas because of their wickedness. Kshatriyas on the world are supposed to safeguard dharma. And one of them is to allow the rishis to perform their penances and their yajnas in peace. But these very same kings who were supposed to be the caretakers of dharma started doing the atrocities against those who were engaged in dharma. So Paramatma took that rupa and he annihilated the Kshatriyas. Narayana Namo Narayana. Bring to memory that this is the same Narayana who uplifted those in Naraka. This is the same Narayana who is the cause for this entire universe to be born. That is the same Narayana who is the Ashraya of all the souls. And when we chanted 6 times Narayana in the first Padya, we remember that he is the cause for us to be here, existent in this very body. Because the Shastra says that he is Vashatkara. Vashatkara, as he is having 6 infinite and beautiful gunas, which make him completely different from everyone else. And that is why he is called as Bhagavan. And then Vashatkara also means that he is the one who controls the 6 phases of a soul when it takes birth. That is before. Jayate means he is taking birth. One jiva is taking birth, he gets attached to one body. And then from that place, from when he starts Jayate Asti, then he comes to understand that I am existing at 1 year old or something like that. I am a person and I need certain things for myself. I am hungry. I am sleepy. These are the things that the baby realizes as it grows. Then it changes. Vardate, it grows. Then it changes. Parinamate, it becomes bigger. It starts thinking differently, all these things. Then these 4 phases are done. Now the next one is the falling down phase where they apakshiyate, whatever was gained, like wisdom was gained, but that can be retained. But the effect or the power of the sense starts to decline. The teeth and the ears stop to function as they should. The feet also starts paining when they are walking for a long distance. So these kind of problems are faced by the mortal person, means a person who is in a sharira. And then finally death comes upon that person. But all these 6 phases, who is the cause? And that is Narayana. So only beginning itself, Dasaru says, Narayana Namo, Narayana Namo, Narayana Namo. He chants that Narayana Nama 6 times, remembering that he is that Vashatkara, who is the in control of all the phases of the Jiva's life. And to that Narayana, I bow down, who took the avataaras. And each of these avataaras, we recollect the gunas and the rupas as much as we can, because some of the rupas have been described like very much in detail already. Here he is giving as a summary. Krishna avatara was described in detail. Rama avatara also was described in detail. So now that is coming again here. Manavapa is Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Kalki, and Kapila Atreya. Kapila is the avatara where Paramatma, Kalki and Kapila. Buddha is the avatara where he took in order to um, uh, disperse the wrong knowledge to those who are eligible for that. So when they were trying to get the right knowledge, see what happens when the right knowledge goes in the hands of the wicked people. It will be a very detrimental to the society. Paramatma wanted to save the society from that situation. So he appeared as Buddha and he diverted their attention to some other thing. So diverted in the sense that what he said was the truth, but the people who heard it, they interpreted it differently. He saw to it that that would happen. Kalki is the avatara that is to be come at the end of the Kali Yuga. After the Kali Yuga is almost over, at that time, they say that at the Shambhala Grama, there would be the Kalki avatara. And Kapila Atreya. Kapila avatara is the avatara where he appears as the son of Devahuti and Kardama Prajapati, and he does the Upadesha of the Yoga Marga of Sadhana. And Atreya is the Dattatreya. Narayana Namo Narayana. Remembering the forms of Narayana and recollecting his gunas and kriyas at that time, we continue to chant Narayana Namo Narayana. Narayana Namo Narayana. Swami Tirtambu Antarga Abhishikta Antarga Ambu Abhishikta Narayana Namo Narayana. Swami Bhu Varaha Vaikunta Nata Vishwesha Narayana Namo Narayana. Swami Tirtha Ambu. Swami Tirtha Pushkarini. It's the Pushkarini that is in Tirumala Hills. So Swami Tirtha Pushkarini, Ambu means water. That Antarga, inside using that water, that is the Swami Tirtha Pushkarini's water is used to perform the Abhisheka of Paramatma. On every Fridays they have the Abhisheka of Venkatramana Moola Rupa, and at that time the water is brought from the Pushkarani. So that water you are using, I mean Swami Pushkarani Tirtha water is used to do the Abhisheka. I bow down to that Narayana, he says. I bow down to that Narayana who appears as Venkataramana. And he was the deity. He was the favorite deity of Prasanna Venkata Dasaru. He obtained the Ankita in Tirumala and was graced by Paramatma himself. Swami Bhuvaraha Vaikuntanatha Vishvesha. This Pushkarani has a bank, and near the banks of the Pushkarani is the Varaha temple. So it is told in the Puranas, Bhavishya Purana, that when Venkataramana wanted the land to stay, Varaha Devru gave it to him. And in return, he said that everyone who comes to take the darshan of Tirumala, Tirupati, Venkataramana, they have to they should go and visit the Varaha Swami temple first and then go. Swami Bhuvaraha Vaikuntanatha, he is the same person or the same Paramatma who is at Vaikunta. Vaikuntanatha means the place of complete bliss. Vaikunta means Vikunta. Kunta means a dosha, which is free of any kind of dosha. Such a place is called as Vaikunta. So what is the dosha that we see in the world? We see that there is a kind of lack in many things. There is a time which keeps on moving and everyone is bound by that time. But Paramatma's Loka has none of these things. No one's jnana will be mired because of the sparsha of the trigunas. No one will feel hungry because of the effect of the trigunas. No one will need to think, oh, my time is getting late. Time is up or something like that. There's no time at all. Kala Tita is there in the Vaikunta Loka. And that Paramatma, who is the master of that world, is now standing in Tirumala Hills as Tirupati Venkataramana. Vishwesha he is the Vishwa Isha. Vishwa means who is the who Vishati iti Vishwaha, they say. Means who is inside everything. Vishati means to do. Vishapraveshe. So he is inside everything that you see. And he is inside everything that you see as Isha. Vishwesha means who is inside and who is the Isha. Isha means who has the capacity and lordship to control everything. So even a blade of grass cannot move without his consent or without his icha. So Trinamapi na chalati, tena vina. Without your interest, without your prerana, not even a blade of grass can move. That is the complete control of Paramatma. And that is very clearly and aptly told by this word called Vishvesha. And the same Vishwa is also the form of Paramatma who controls our Echara Avaste. Echara means the awakened state. So every Jiva or the human form, when we are there, we have the experience of deep sleep. We have the experience of a dream state and awakened state. The Samadhi state is experienced only by some. But these three states are there for all the people, and whether they want it or not, it continues to happen. So when we are in the awakened state, we are controlled by this form of Paramatma, which is called as Vishwa, because Vishwa means who is who pervades everywhere. So here in our body, he pervades everywhere. Means in our eyes, ears, nose, everywhere he is pervading and allowing us the ability to experience through those indriyas. Such a Vishwa controls everything. Is Vishwesha. So we bow down to him and chant Narayana Namo Narayana. I bow down to you who have given me this awakened state, who have given me the opportunity to pray to you during this awakened state. And I seek your shelter. You are the storehouse of infinite auspicious attributes. Shatkoti Tirtha Yutacharana Sri Bhuramana Narayana Namo Narayana Shat Kamala Nilaya Chinmaya Chidgunarnavane Narayanaaya Namo Narayana Shat Koti. Is telling there is a 600 koti, 600 crores, 6 crores of tirthas. Means these are Yuta Charana. Your Charana is the cause for the birth of the Ganges. And this Ganges itself flows in many, many, many tributaries. And she is the consort of Varuna, who is the Abhimani of any water that exists. So every water that is there has the source of Paramatma's feet, has its source in Paramatma's feet. So they are saying that he is with that tirtha in his feet. So when we think about his feet only, we become pure. Pundari, Kaksha, if you say that, you will become pure. Say that apavitra pavitro va yasmaret pundari kaksham the bahyabhyantara shuchihi. So shuchitva is brought about by tirtha is what we have learned. Either by water we get shuchitva through the of the body, by tirtha we get shuchitva of the inner organs and the mind also. So Paramatma's feet is completely imbued with 6 crores of tirthas, is it? So when you remember that tirthas, they flow into your mind and then they purify your body. The same tirthas, they are flowing inside our nadis also. So they also become purified. And then they say, Sri Bhu Ramana, that Venkataramana is standing on the Tirumala hills and the hills itself boast of many, many tirthas underground. Nowadays, the number of tirthas that are available to the visitor to view or the bhakta to see is very less. But the Puranas talk about these many tirthas that are there in the hills. And that is having the sparsha of the charana of Narayana. And he is there as the consort of Sri and Bhu, Sri Bhu Ramana. All the time this Vyapara of Sri and Bhu is happening. What is the Vyapara of the Sri and Vyapara means the assigned duties of Sri Devi and Bhudevi is to control the Sattva Guna and the Rajoguna. The whole world is entirely moving on these gunas. So mainly we are asked to do the upasana of those gunas which will be beneficial to us. So mainly the gunas of Sattva bring us the peaceful mind to do the sadhana. The gunas of Rajas make us move in this world. And of course, tamas helps us to get a good sleep so that we will be able to be fresh again. But the upasana of that is not done because what we need that you do the upasana, they said. Narayana Namo Narayana. Swami Bhuvaraha Vaikuntanatha Vishwesha. He is the, no, that is over. Shatkamala Nilaya Chinmaya Chidgunarnavane Narayana Namo Narayana. The Shatkamala is in the Nabi. Nabiyali Shatkona Mandala Bhavishyat Brahmanulu Muktaba Shri Pradyumna Nippan Vibhudagana Sevya. The same thing, Nabiyali Shatkona Mandala is there. And there is Nabiyali Ondumel Adhika Dalavulla Aidu Padmavu Nabi Muladi. So there is one Ondumel Aidu Dala. Means 5 dalas are there. One above that is 6. 6 dala Padma is there in the Nabi. And in that Paramatma is residing. So what does he do? He, Shoshisuta, he through Mukhya Prana, he dries out all the Papa Karma of the Jiva. So every day this Anusandhana has to be done. That same Venkatramana, when we go and visit Venkatramana, we have to think about all these things. That is what is given to us by these Devurnamas. What the devotee, when he goes for the darshan of the of darshan, then what he has to think about the jiva. When we go there, we have to think about the gunas of Paramatma as being completely auspicious, and one of them is to be not inside any particular pratika, no. But whereas we see that form there, which is a pratika or a just one sculpture like thing. But Paramatma is much more than that. So we have to do the proper thoughts that this form of Paramatma has one Anandamaya form of Paramatma inside this. And that's why this form is also there. Any form is there because Paramatma exists there in that particular form. As the Vigraha of Narayana, he is completely auspicious. He is not that stone Vigraha that you see, but he is of the bliss and knowledge form. And that Paramatma is the same one who is in my Nabi. What does he do in the Nabi? He keeps on seeing to it that the Papa Purushas do not have the energy to act in our body. Every day we are supposed to do this Anusandana. So when the Shoshana means to dry out the Papa Purushas. What are the Papa Purushas? They are the Daityas who have the ability to control our senses in the wrong direction. But if they are available only, when they are available, they can do it if it is our karma to be done. But when we pray to Paramatma, that you are the same Tirumala, Tirupati, Narayana, who is in my Shatkona Mandala or Nabi, as in the Shat Padma, Shatdala Padma, then he will see to it that all the Papa Purushas are burnt out. They will not have the ability to do the prerana or inspires us into the negative karma. And when you're thinking about him, think of him, he says, as Chinmaya, Chidgunarnava. So he's saying, think of him as Chinmaya. Chinmaya means who is completely full of knowledge. So the knowledge is what makes everything apart. When there is a person who has knowledge, then it sets him completely or her completely apart from every other thing that's available. Because knowledge is the source of any kind of happiness. Without the knowledge, there's no happiness. So how to obtain the knowledge? By doing the upasana of this Chinmaya Murti, who is completely full of knowledge and bliss. And Chidgunarnava, he is of those gunas which are Chinmaya. Means those gunas itself, they are not any Jada gunas which need other people to act, which need, see for example, why we are talking about Chidguna means because we hear of the Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. And these three gunas, they have to be acted upon by Mahalakshmi in her three forms. And then Paramatma has to act upon or make the will for Mahalakshmi to act on these. But Paramatma's gunas are not like that. That's what they want to say, Chid guna. There is no action of someone else on him for the guna to come out. Whereas for everyone else, they need that Paramatma's grace, Mahalakshmi's grace, Mukhya Prana Brahma's grace, everything has to be going on. Then only we can get out that guna. But the guna to be in action for Paramatma, he requires no support. He requires no one's agnya, no one's will, nothing. He can do it on his own. That's why Chidgunar Navane. His gunas are like a big sea. You cannot even measure the sea. Drops of the water in the sea may be measured, but Paramatma's gunas can never be measured, is told in the Shastras. Such a Chidguna Arnava he is. That is what we have to contemplate when we go and visit the temple at Tirumala. We have to remember him as the Venkateshwara who has the 6 crores of tirthas in his feet, who appeared as the Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, and all the time he was there for the benefit of the good souls. There is no benefit for him because he is already Chidguna Arnava. He is already Chinmaya. He is already Vaikuntha Nata. He does not need anything from us. But when we go and offer to him, he accepts it. Then he makes it into Ananta Madi and then gives it to the devotee. Gunas on their own, guni ಗುಣಗಳೊಳಗಿದ್ದು ಗುಣಿ ಗುಣ ನೆನೆಸುವನು ಗುಣಬದ್ಧನಾಗದೆ ಗುಣಜ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಫಲ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾದಿ ಚೇತನಕ್ಕೆ ಉಣಿಸುತ್ತ ಅವರೊಳಗಿದ್ದು ವೃಜಿನಾರ್ದನ ಚಿದಾನಂದೈಕ ದೇಹನು ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಸಚರಾಚರ ಜಗತ್ ಬುಕುವೆನಿಪನ್ ಅವ್ಯಯನು. These are some verses that we have come across in the Harikatamritsara which talk about the capacities of Paramatma to make the guna and the guni to act. There is no capacity for the guna means that sattva, rajas and tamo gunas. Guni means the person or the jiva. So the which can be acted upon by the guna. Both of these have to be acted upon by Paramatma. That's why he is Guni Guna. Both are his names only, because unless he acts, the Sattva Guna will not have its capacity to show that a person can acquire jnana, a person can be in a peaceful state, all these things. Whatever is associated with the Sattva Guna capacities has been described by by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita very much in detail. So all these are done by him only. But he does not require anything for his gunas to be acted, to bring into action his own gunas. To that Narayana I bow down, because he is the sole support of everyone. If we beg the support of someone who is not independent enough to give you that support, then he has to go and approach someone else for that support. But here he says, you are now bowing down to that Narayana who is completely independent, who is Swatantra, in his own control. He can do and he can grace the souls. So let us bow down to that Narayana who is in the form of Venkateshwara, who has graced Prasanna Venkatadasaru, and who will grace everyone who goes there and thinks about him in these words of Prasanna Venkatadasaru. So let us do the Samarpana of this. Mad-Guruvantargata Bharati Ramana Mukhya Pranantargata Sri Lakshmi Venkateshwara Preranya Sri Lakshmi Venkateshwara Prityartham Sri Krishnarpanamustu. Hare Shri.